Hi, this is Carlos from Rancho Las Brisas. Let's talk a little bit about water. You know, one of the most fascinating things when you're driving in the Central Valley of California, you see these signs put out there by the farmers. Food grows where water flows, as they promote additional dams on the Shasta and all the different rivers. But watering is really important, Anthony.
So what are we doing here?
So what we're doing here is, why don't you grab the tip of that? Okay. What we're doing here is we're just putting in the drip system that we're going to be putting on our flowers and on our onions.
So this is a drip system, as opposed to like a spray or
a spray, like an overhead spray.
Got it.
You know, we could put a sprinkler on here and we could wet everything, or we could have flood irrigation where we have little troughs.
Yep.
And we could let water flow. But you know, our water is very limited here in Sonoma County, so we use a drip system. And so we're putting water exactly where we need it, only where we need it. After the rain stop, there's no more water coming from the heavens, so we have to rely on our well to bring in the water. There's different kinds of drip systems. This is called drip tape.
Yeah, because this doesn't feel like a heavy hose. This is just like...
usually this hose will last 2 seasons. This is a brand new hose. It looks like this when you buy it. Comes in rolls like this, and you don't have to put little plugs or little connectors into this, and you hook this up to a line that's on a controlled system. And when you buy this stuff, you can buy it so there's a hole every 4 inches like this.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can buy it so there's a hole every 6 inches or every 8 inches, however much you want. To be consistent, we're using 4-inch drip tape this season.
Got it. And then what does this connect to?
Well, this connects to our whole watering system. One of the things that I've learned about where water flows, food grows, is that if you don't have stuff on a timer system, then you're just not providing consistent enough watering to the plant. In my opinion, here at Las Brisas, we don't provide consistent enough watering to be able to keep the plants alive.
Mm-hmm.
So,
without a system, you mean?
Without a system, on a timer. So whenever something's not on a timer and it's in a pot, like those pots right over there.
Yeah, it dies every time.
Yeah, it dies every time and requires you to water it every day.
Yeah.
Okay, and so it's a pain.
And you always start out like solid.
No,
you always, you're always watering, you're on top of it.
Yeah,
and then
you are.
You forget a month later.
Yeah, the drip tape is hooked up to this system right here. We have a little leak there we'll have to fix in a minute. So this is hooked up to a 0.7 irrigation line, which is the standard drip irrigation stuff you can buy at your local irrigation store or at the Home Depot.
And this is way more heavy duty.
Oh yeah.
Thicker.
This will last for years. That drip tape lasts for about 2 seasons, and then the holes get plugged up. And any kind of drip system you have lasts about 2 seasons, and that's it. You have to replace the little emitters and all that on a regular basis because they just get dirty. So this is hooked up to this line right here, and this is hooked up to a timer, which is right over here. So this has multiple pieces to it. It has your irrigation line coming in on a regular faucet, and it has this timer that I'll talk about in a minute, and then it gets connected to this. This is a filter. So what I can do is I can clean my filter so I don't get a lot of garbage going into my drip line, because if a little grain of sand gets into that emitter at 4 inches, it's not going to go anywhere. This thing helps me keep it clean.
And the water we're using is well water.
Well water here.
Right here in Las Brisas.
Yeah. So it's connected. This is one of the most vital components. Well, the water is the most vital. Then the controller, the cleaner, and then this thing. This right here is a pressure reducer. So our well is putting out about 40 pounds per square inch of pressure. This reduces that to 10, because if I ran more than 10 pounds per square inch on this line, that drip tape would just bust open.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Explode.
Yeah. And so, the first couple years that we used it at Las Brisas, oh, we don't need that. We'll control it right up here,
right.
But we blow those all the time, and then you get this huge water mess, wasted water. So this pressure reducer is a vital component of this system, and that hooks up to the main header for the drip line, and then we have these special little contraptions right here.
So this is how you get water off. Right?
That's how we get water off. That's closed. If you open it, watch out, you'll get water. That's 10 pounds per square inch.
Wow, that's kind of a lot.
Yeah, but if this were hooked up to the hose regularly, when you did that, you would have got your boot all wet. And we hooked the drip tape directly to the tip of this.
Right.
These cost about $3 each. So this system here, this is our evolution in our understanding. All right. So, you know, originally we did it, oh, we'll just turn it on and off on a regular basis. No, that didn't work. Got inconsistent watering. Oh, we don't need a filter. We'll just clean it out every once in a while. No, that's not true. Throwing drip tape before the end of the year, that's terrible. Oh, we don't need a pressure reducer, but we do. So these three components right here are the vital pieces. This is the learning that took us the longest. It took me the longest to figure out what kind of timer to use. Now, since I'm hooked up to a hose system here, I went and I experimented with about 5 different, maybe 6 different timers to use that we could use here at Las Brisas. Now, I'm not the only one adjusting these things. There are other people. So I have to have a timer that's easily programmable,
totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And other
something
people can use, right? And you can just check it out and figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
And something that's reliable. This Orbit timer is probably, you know, I get these, you know, at most hardware stores you can find them, or you can get them on Amazon or however you would like to get them. And you know, I can get them. They're around $30, maybe a little bit more for those. And they're easy to use and they're easy to program, and anybody can program it, and they're the most reliable. I bought the expensive $90 timers from the ag store, and you know what? Those fail before these do.
Huh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And they're hard to use. They're hard to program. So to program this one is pretty straightforward. I know this is kind of low and I don't have an extra one right now to show you, but there's like a little arrow here pointing in that direction. See that little arrow?
Yeah.
And now it's set on auto.
Okay.
Okay.
So it'll just come on and off on its own.
Yeah, whenever I tell it to. And can you read what those things say?
Yeah.
What does that say?
Set clock.
Set clock. So if when I want to set the clock to match my watch, I just turn it to that, and I can set the clock. So it's about 2:10. I could set it for 2:10. All right. Notice it turned off the water.
Yep.
Then the other thing I can do is I can say start time. What time do I want it to start?
So 6 a.m.
6 a.m. Okay. Then the next one says
how long?
How long? So I put it there, and I can move these buttons up and down, and it will tell me I can set how long. So right now it's set for 30 minutes. How often?
Right now it says 1 day.
1 day. So every morning at 6 a.m. it runs for 30 minutes.
Cool.
So far. And so now that's the off position. Now it's on auto. Now it's set, ready to go. Now I had it on manual because we were putting some water out there on the plant. So you just press the manual button and you give it the minutes you want, and then you're good to go. So it's really easy to use. You know, you can use this as often as you want.
$30, set it, forget it.
Set it and forget it.
So here, for what we're growing, which we're doing potatoes, we're doing onions, we'll be doing peppers, tomatoes. How often are we gonna have this thing running?
Last year and previous years, about this time of year, we start off at that setting. 1 time per day, 30 minutes. When there's still moisture in the ground, that often. Later, by August, we would have doubled the amount of time.
And that gets closer to harvest season.
That
August, September, October.
Yep. And if we think that something's getting too much water, we can control it with those little valves that we have right there.
So if one line, like the potatoes, you're like, oh, we need to shut them down, you can turn it off.
Turn it off.
Yep.
Or we're done, we've harvested all the potatoes. Just turn it off. Yeah. And so like, for example, the garlic, come June, we're gonna turn it off.
Nice.
Because now the garlics have to start drying up, and we don't want the water going to them anymore, so we'll turn them off, and we can make them run in that direction. So this is the combination that we try to use in all our systems.
I love that.
And if you walk around the property, and you know there's a timer right there for the roses. This one doesn't have this, because that one hasn't failed yet.
That's one of the expensive ones?
No, it's a Rainbird one, but it's not one of the expensive ones. But you know, I'll get a replacement for this. It'll be one of these. It has one of these. It has a pressure organizer. And then for some of the other plants around town, around that property, we actually use drip system where we use the heavy hose, like this hose here, and then we use other kinds of connectors like this. So right here, this is a little sprinkler. So this is set up to this irrigation system, controlled by another timer, and every 2 days this turns on, and a little sprinkler comes on and wets the whole inside of these bamboos.
So sprinkler instead of drip. Same concept, just
yeah. But I can put different kinds of things on the inside of here. I can actually put a little dripper. I have a drip emitter over here. Look, because it's a smaller container. See this right here? Here's a drip emitter. So I could attach a sprinkler to that, but instead of that, I use this red one.
Yep.
And this is a ½ a gallon per hour. Now I can get the ones that are green. You'll find some of these that are green on different parts of the property. Those are 1 gallon per hour. And I can make adjustments. Here's a green one. Look how much greener this looks than that.
totally.
Right? So
More
if
water,
more
less
water,
water.
less water. So I probably should pull that red one out
Yep.
and replace it with this. And that red dripper probably will last a year and a half, and it gets full of sand or the calcium that's in the water, the hardness of the water will plug it, and I need to replace it. And I may have to replace the whole line. This is the traditional drip. This is what it started with. Then sprinklers became, and then the drip tape, which is the cheapest and we use for our garden. Is what we found.